Why is Helldivers 2 so addicting? But amongst all of those things, like, the game is just so funny, dude. All those things are almost like kind of like roleplay, kind of like aspects of it, and it's like it's very naturally woven into the experience.
And then before you know it, we're scrambling around, and like what was like a calm and collect and like very in control little group becomes like one that's like fighting for its life at every single second.
Welcome. I'm Mark O'Mara, one of your hosts. This is George O'Mara. We're two souls, and this is On the Games. And today, we're going to be talking about Helldivers 2. It is a sequel to Helldivers 1, in which you play the titular Helldiver. That was pretty good. All right. But yeah, we're going to be talking about that. The game just came out recently.
Yeah.
We've been having a lot of fun with that one.
I've been diving.
We've been diving. It's been hell.
Because war's hell.
War is hell.
War's hell.
War never changes.
It's a
And
different IP.
it's hell.
It's a different one. And addicting, apparently.
It is pretty addicting. Just for a little backstory, Helldivers 2 is by the developers Arrowhead Studios.
Yes.
And they've been working on this one for a while, from what I know. And like, if you just look up like the first game, like it's a pretty huge step up from the first one. It's like very different. The first one was like an isometric, like
top down.
like top down, twin stick, kind of like horde base. It was kind of like, I don't know if you guys remember Dead Nation.
I remember that.
It was kind. I really like that game. That game's fun.
Game's fun. Underrated.
But it is underrated. But for Helldivers, it was pretty similar, and the game was known for being like really difficult, and it was kind of similar kind of deal where it's like you're diving down onto planets, you're killing either like cyborgs or these like bug race of like aliens. Terminids. I don't think they were called Terminids, though. They were just called bugs in the first game. And yeah, it was known for being really hard, and you want to go down like you want to dive with like friends. It was really really marketed towards like co-op and stuff like that. And the sequel is a lot like that too. It's very similar with all that, but it's full on 3D third person like shooter, and it's pretty great.
Yeah, and the big draw with this was, like you said, the difficulty, and that normally came from how much your teammates could hurt you.
Yeah.
So there's friendly fire, so you'd have to be strategic about that. There was, if you were, along with the friendly fire, like calling down like certain kinds of orbital strikes or using grenades, that sort of thing, can damage your teammates, and then they have to hell dive again. And so with this new one, first off, we want to congratulate the studios.
Yes.
They had massive success. You were telling me that they even surpassed the concurrent players for GTA 5.
GTA 5 max concurrent players was like 300, like at peak GTA 5.
Yeah.
Was like 364,000 players at once. And this game hit, like, I think it was last week, it hit like 384.
Wow.
Or 385 or something like that concurrent, like all at once. So the game's doing like,
a lot of
to say the game's doing really well and a lot better than they expected, I think is still an understatement. Like it's surpassing like concurrent players of like GTA 5.
It passed Counter-Strike as well. That was another one it passed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if it passed GTA 5, it's probably passed like all of those.
Well, I mean, if it passed Counter-Strike. Some might argue. But the game has seen massive success. The Arrowhead developers have had to hire on some new people and expand their server capacity, and we want to thank them. There was, for a while, you'd get the error, you got to wait in a queue, server capacity. And one thing is being on one end of it and seeing those and being like, man, I want to play it. None of us here were really like that. We were, we wanted to get in and play because the game's a blast, but
we're very understanding though.
They're very understanding because, again, it's not often that you see something like this. This is not like some sort of AAA, like story driven, really hyped game. Like it's very well produced and it's high quality, but it's like a $40 game. And that's not to diminish its quality or its merit. But when you see a game that's a game like this do so well, it's really, I don't know, for me it felt very uplifting. I'm like, this is a game that knew what it wanted to do. It's focused. It's evoking a very particular feel, that being of camaraderie, and then also like being in war. There's like it is such a intense experience
Yeah.
to play. And that's just like at some of the lower difficulty levels. Even the second you start bumping up 1, 2, 3 from like easy, and then you're like challenging.
It gets like really.
Man, there's some there's some situations that are hilarious. They are like, how the heck do I deal with this? Some of the most fun moments I've had so far, and I think the game really does have the potential to have some pretty massive legs on it.
Yeah.
Especially with the way that they've arranged the support for this. You've got all your different planets, and it is a global, effort within the game universe, but then also in real life to free up these specific planets. It's like, okay, so for instance, the Terminids, like these are the bug enemies.
Yeah.
You've got like your planet, and it's like, okay, this is only 20% liberated. And it is getting liberated based off of how many players are playing on that map.
Yeah, you can see, like, when you hover over a planet, you can see, like, the amount of players that are, like, currently diving on that planet.
Yeah.
And doing, like, operations and missions and stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your point with, like, the $40, like, I think it's a good point, because it's more for perspective of, like, I think what the devs were expecting with the game, that they would even price it like that.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, we're just making Helldivers 2. Let's be reasonable. We'll charge $40. And, like, the game blew up, dude.
Yeah.
Like, within, like, a couple days, I was seeing it, like, everywhere. I was seeing it all over Reddit. I was seeing it all over Instagram. Like, every games journalist site was talking about it, ranting and raving. Oh, it's such a great experience and stuff. And, like, everything I saw looked great, and then we dove. And it's it's a good time.
It's a very good time.
It's a very good time, and it's like the gunplay is just so punchy. The guns feel really good. Just shooting feels great. It just feels great to shoot stuff.
Which it might sound like an understatement, but it's not. Like you can get the gun feel to feel the way that it does in this game. That's like a big deal.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to get like caught in monotony of like certain kinds of actions in the game, and the game is, to your point, like, yeah, the guns are punchy, they're satisfying, and it feels good to shoot a gun. Like that's like, it sounds simple, but it's so important, like, for a game like this.
Yeah.
A lot of games don't get that right.
Yeah, and it's like, that's like one part of it, because like when I think about the whole process of playing the game, and you were mentioning this like a couple days ago, because we dove like a couple times a few days ago. The whole gameplay loop, there's just so many little things that you're managing throughout.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, oh, let me not reload, because when you reload your gun, if you like shoot one bullet and you reload it, you lose the whole rest of that clip. Yeah. And so you kind of get used to like, okay, let me not, like, almost like what I've trained myself to do from like Call of Duty, Halo, all that stuff. Let me not like reload after every little encounter. Yeah. Let me just like wait till my gun like goes out. But then that puts you in another position where, like, you're not used to that, so then your gun's going out, like, you don't register that you had only 2 bullets left.
Yeah.
Then you leave an encounter, and you get into another one, you have only 2 bullets, and then they start coming. You're like, why isn't my gun shooting for, like, half a second?
Yeah.
And then you remember, oh, shit, I need to reload. And then you reload. And
if you do that with all 3 weapons you have, sometimes you're kind of caught in a spot.
Yeah, where every gun is unloaded. You're, like, switching to
each one, and you're like, shoot one bullet. One bullet.
Yeah, and then the way the reloads work in the game is there's, like, phases to it. So there's, like, unclipped, then there's like the clip is in, and then there's them pulling back the bolt or whatever, right? And if you interrupt after like any point in that process, it'll stay at that point. Yeah. So if you like drop your mag and you don't put a new one in, and then you like swap weapons or you start running or whatever, when you swap back to that one, you still have to put a clip back in it. But if you put a clip in it and you didn't pull a bolt, it's kind of same deal, like you get caught up, whatever, you pull that gun out, your guy still needs to pull that bolt back before you can like fire, and it's like reloaded.
Yep.
And so there's just like, there's a lot of little things like that, or like even with the stratagems, it's like the amount of times like all of us like in our dives, like we'll see like a whole thing a whole nest of like Terminids we want to take out or whatever, and then we're like, okay, hold on, like everyone slow down, like stop, and we like kind of rally up and we like stop. And it's like, all right, let's check our stratagems. Okay, let's call it. We have like 30 seconds for a resupply. Let's wait for that. And you start doing all these different little things to like secure the mission. All those things are almost like kind of like role play, kind of like aspects of it, and it's like it's very naturally woven into the experience. You know, like I don't have to like think in my head like, oh, I'm like diving and let's be tactical. Like you end up just doing that stuff just because of like how the game works, and like all these little systems that are at play, along with like how the enemies function. Because the enemies, like when you're fighting like the Terminids, they just horde around you. And honestly, it feels a lot like when you're playing like Nazi zombies or whatever, or just zombies, because it's just zombies now. But like Call of Duty zombies and stuff, like it's kind of like playing that where they horde around you. You start trailing like the Terminids and all of that, and then you go fight like the automatons, and it's like, dude, they're the amount of times I'm like, I get shot a few times and I like dive behind cover and I'm about to stim, and then one of them like shoots just that little part of my corner, like my shoulder.
So accurate, dude.
They're like super accurate. Or you're like in a big firefight and you're like running around. There's just a lot about how they horde around you and how they actually attack you that works really well with like the more managed like sides of the gameplay.
Yeah.
Like
and that plays into the way the difficulties work. So in a lot of games, they'll just add more health to a lot of these characters, like these enemies. In this game, they don't do that. What they do is they add more enemies.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening, and it's so gratifying too, because like if you play like at an easier difficulty, you're dealing with like a smaller amount of enemies, but they all take the same amount of bullets and all that. So there's that challenge. But the second you start ramping that up, you've got like these greater droves of like automatons or terminids, and it's really visually impressive, and it's also incredibly empowering when you're managing it correctly. But they still don't take more shots, so you develop the muscle memory of, okay, if I can aim right at the head of like an automaton and take them out, like with like say like their sniper, it's like an anti-material rifle, and you take that out, you're like, okay, I just have so many more of those to do. And, when you maybe see like 1 or 2 of those drop ships coming in and dropping bots, now you're saying like 3-4 times as much. And then they have some other enemies that don't show up at some of the earlier difficulty levels that show up at other ones. So they've got like these whole tanks for automatons. For the Terminids, there's like these like huge like bugs they got to take out. There's like these big towering like creatures.
They're literally like a 2-story tall building,
which is it's insane. And so what ends up happening is, along with that, you've got your progression system and you've got these stratagems. So stratagems are basically like added supply packs. Some of them are like drones. You can like have them follow you, and they help with taking care and mitigating damage on some of these enemies. You have like strafing runs you can call down, or bombs. There's like some of them are nukes from what I've seen from the list. Some of them are just different weapons, like heavier like tactical weapons you can carry, like that anti-material rifle or a machine gun. You're like a turret guy, so you call down all these different turrets, and we got to watch out for them because
the turrets,
they'll take you out.
they don't discriminate.
They don't discriminate, no. And so what you start learning is like, okay, there's certain things that work well in certain situations, certain cooldowns, certain things help you with your survivability, certain things help with like against a Terminid that don't really help against an automaton, and vice versa. And so you end up developing these strategies into your whole role-playing like example. Like you, me, and our producer AJ, like we've dove in together. We've dived together. And there's already like a set of roles that we all kind of fall into.
Yeah.
So we'll come into an area and like AJ's like dropping like these huge strafing runs. Like, all right, let's clear out these areas. Take care of whatever we can like right off the bat. And then you'll come in and you'll start dropping a couple turrets wherever we need them. And then I'm the guy that's like walking around like resupplying you guys and like you need a stem, like stemming you guys, that kind of thing. And it's just a blast. It's just a good time, and I think that's like one of the biggest reasons why people are playing this game so much is, the director mentioned, he's like, people are asking about, PvP, like person versus person kind of, or player versus player kind of combat. He's like, we're never going to add that. He goes, it'll make the game toxic. And it's true. Like I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm personally enjoying it is the camaraderie.
Yeah.
Where we're all these like fictional, dispensable Helldiver units and this highly satirical like world that they've built out, where every single Helldiver's calling out, like yelling out, like for democracy and this is justice and victory. And, like,
Let me give you a taste of liberty.
yeah, exactly, like stuff like that, which is it's hilarious. It's very self-aware.
Yeah.
And you're working alongside your teammates, and some of the wackiest stuff happens. Where like one time like I was shooting at a Terminid and you like dove in front of me and like you took one bullet to the head and died instantly, and I was like, oh, I gotta call him in now. Like there's been times where like we're all kitted out, and we're like, okay, cool, like we're doing good. Hey, can we take out a nest, take out another nest? We're like, dude, we're all right. And it's so calm and collect over the intercoms. Where it's all like, all right, dude, you need a resupply? Yeah. Hey, do you want to check out this little thing over here? Yeah, let's just check it out. That's fine. Here, let me just call down a machine gun real quick, figure that'll help out, whatever. You're like, all right, cool, that's cool. Did you get it? Yeah, I got it here. I think I'm gonna get a drone. You get the drone. We're walking around and like, oh, hey, look, I found a supply. You get a supply and whatever. And then there'll be like that one like hunter like Terminate that comes out of nowhere and like takes out one of us. We're like, oh, dude, reinforcement. Call me back in. You're like, all right, I'm calling you back in, and then there's like a bug breach, and you're like, oh gosh, there's a bug breach. Oh man, I'm getting good. And then before you know it, we're scrambling around, and like what was like a calm and collect and like very in control little group becomes like one that's like fighting for its life at every single second, like running around like and like with the stratagems you have to like hold the bumper and then input directional like. It's almost like a little mini game.
It's like a
you
little
have to go
combo.
like up, down, left,
Yeah.
left, right, and then you like can call something in, like whatever it is. You're like, oh man, you're messing up the reinforcement because you're like stressed out, and like call someone in, they land, and then they land right in the middle of the bugs. They don't have their stuff, and it's insanity.
Yeah.
Which is great because it makes it a lot of fun. It's hilarious. You end up learning a lot like right off the cuff, but when you also succeed, because all things considered, it's fairly generous.
Yeah.
It's very well balanced of a
When you get
system.
to harder difficulties, it starts to show where the limits are. You're like, okay, like this is challenging, dude.
Yeah, but in general, it's a very I think forgiving system because, for instance, like if your whole squad gets wiped out, and you've got like 10 reinforcements still, because you can only call so many of them, like one after another. If everyone dies, then you still come back so long as you have reinforcements. And it's stuff like that where like you can, if you're tactical and smart about it, you can recover from those situations, and it's very gratifying when you do.
Yeah.
Like the game is balanced so well that there's been the majority of the times that we evacuate after getting like the main mission done, some side missions, whatever it is, and it feels like we got out by the skin of our teeth. That's most of the times where you're like, oh, okay, cool, we just got out. Like, okay, that was tough. Like, we made it. Like, that was dicey,
The design of the game is really, like, specific on the kind of experience you're getting out of it.
Yeah.
Even down to, like, what you're saying there, too, like, with the extractions. Because they all felt that way, where it's like wow. Like, the amount of... I don't think there's any extractions that we finished so far in playing the game where I was just like, okay, cool, yeah, like all of them, I was like, holy crap, dude, like we got out, like we did it, and we're all like, woo, we did it, dude, and we're like, oh yeah, dude, and then we upgrade our stuff and all that. It's very well designed, dude. It's a very focused game,
Yeah, I gotta give it to them too, and it was a concern I had going into it that they have their battle passes and all of that, and dare I say it is one of the most balanced and most reasonable progression systems I've seen where you can buy credits and all that.
Yeah.
I had a whole thing happen. The guys here know about it, but like I decided, let me buy some credits. Why not support the team, And because of the server issues and all that, like, the purchase didn't go through, and then I'm like, what? It just all closed out for me, and I'm like, okay, did that go through? Or I put it through again, and then like I checked my bank account, and there was like 2 like hits for like the big bags. I'm like, no, you guys charged me twice. I didn't even get the credits that night. Next day they fixed it, so I ended up getting my credits. But all things considered, I was, from what I've seen already, I'm like, it's very balanced. It's I think it's a very reasonable system, and the credits you buy are generally for just cosmetic stuff, or you can buy like the premium battle pass where you can unlock other sorts of weapons and stuff. But you can get the credits in the game. And I've seen quite a few people on the subreddits, like on Twitter and stuff, where they're like, I mean, I didn't even really have to grind the game. I just spent a little time looking around, and I did that for like an hour, and I had enough to like get the premium battle pass. So it's very balanced. It's like, it's a very well balanced game. You don't have to spend extra money on it. You can if you want. I did twice, but life goes on, I'm rolling in credits, bro. I see a helmet and I'm like, yeah, why not? Why not?
It's a drop in the bucket.
It's a drop in the bucket. I'm rolling, But it's very, very well designed in all those regards, and I'm just really happy to see that the team is getting the attention they deserve. I'm glad that we're seeing the success, because it does. I'm not gonna say there hasn't been a couple moments where I'm like trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong, but it's always it's like, okay, what did I do wrong? The times that there hasn't been that, it's been server issues. I can't really put that on them. They had no idea.
And as of like,
no idea they were going to get this many people playing.
In particular, at least from like recording, like the last like 4 or 5 days, like it's been very stable. It feels like they fixed a lot of the like server load problems and stuff.
I've gotten caught on a rock a couple times, but
yeah, I got stuck. There was like a Titan or a Charger that we were fighting, and then I died, and you called me back, and then I landed on it. But the body stayed there.
You're like,
and
what?
So then when my guy came up, I was like stuck underneath him. You had to throw a grenade and kill me to bring me back.
Yeah, I had to kill you to reinforce you. Yeah,
that's the other one too. There's a couple of times where we got stuck on like a little geometry and like
hit me.
Hit me. And then you'll like run up to me and just like bat me with your gun, and then my guy just ragdolls out of like being stuck, and he like, picks himself. I'm like, okay, sick, thanks, dude.
Dude, there's been some times where like some of the funniest stuff. Like one of them was like this bomb went off next to me, and like I had gone to dive like right before the bomb went off. The explosion like threw me so far away. I was like, ah! I was like flying across the map. What the heck happened there? Like
the ragdoll physics are honestly just so funny.
The game, like I honestly have found myself like dying of laughter a few times, where I'm just like crying. I'm like, dude,
it's like one of the scariest things I think you can hear from your teammates in that game is
get
like,
out of there,
get out of there, get out of there. You're like looking, you're like, well, get out of where? Get out of where? You're like, well, where's the bomb?
Dude, for strafing run comes in and just
there's one you called like 2 days ago when we played. And, like, I just died, and I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, why didn't you call that out? You're like, you were near that? And I'm like, dude, like, you didn't call it out. Like,
so this is what basically happened, is that from my ankle, there's different objectives, and, like, one of the defense objectives, you have to, like, push a little, like, terminal button and release a couple civilians, and they go to, like, the safe area or whatever.
Go to the shuttle.
The shuttle, yeah. And so you and I were doing that whole bit. And I saw, like, you were next to me, and I went to go push the button, and I looked over, and you were, like, still next to me. And then I looked, like, all the way across the whole, like, compound, and I saw, like, a bot ship, like, coming to drop all these bots. So I'm like, and I went and threw my Eagle strafing run, and then I turned around and went to go, like, see where the civilians were all and all that. And then what you said happened. You're like, dude, like, what... Where's the warning? And I'm like, you were over there? Like, because you ran from, like, right next to me, like, right into, like, where I threw that, and those come down pretty quick, so...
Yeah, the Eagle strafing runs come down real fast.
Yeah, and they also, the strafing run in particular, I don't have experience with all of them yet. I'm still trying out different combinations and stuff, but that one in particular, it's like... It does, like, one, and then it does, like a second one where the explosion happens, or I don't know exactly how that works.
I think it, like, drops bombs and then they explode.
Yeah, but that second one, it's always, like, a little bigger than you thought it would be. And so, like, I've gotten caught in that, where I'm like, I see it, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm clear, and then, like, the little, like, tail end of it gets me, and I die, and...
Dude, like, that's the other one, too. Like, if you pull out, like, a stratagem, it's like a little thing your guy holds, and then you throw it.
Yeah.
And the grenades are the same way. It's like a thing your guy holds, and you throw it, right? But, like, if you get ragdolled while you're holding that, your guy just lets go of it. Yeah. And it just drops and
get out of here.
Rolls wherever. Dude, the amount of times I'm, like, holding a grenade, and I get ragdolled, and then the grenade just, like, rolls over to my body as my guy's, like, getting up. Like, the game's amongst all the things we've been saying about it, like, it's really fun. It's got great combat. It's, like, super cool. The design of I'm, like, a sucker for the design of these things, dude. Like,
yeah, it's really cool.
Like, you're basically in a little bullet that gets shot down, and then it's like an elevator. It gets shot all the way into the ground, and it's like an elevator. It's just cool design, you know. But amongst all of those things, like the game is just so funny, dude.
Yeah.
Like it really is so funny, dude.
Like we were evacuating on one of them one time, and yeah, I was the last one there, and you're like, you got to get out of here, dude. And I'm like, nah, I got this, man. And I had the situation under control. And you're like, dude, pick up my backpack, like my drone backpack. And I picked it up, and I'm like, all right. Like I didn't really think about it. I'm like, yeah, okay, if he's telling me, it's probably gonna help me. So I picked it up, and this drone just shoots out a laser. It's like, and like just like lights up like whatever enemy. And I saw it go like right over my head, and I was like, oh, please don't kill me. And then like almost as if he heard me, he like turned around and like lasered my head off. And I was like, and then we failed the mission. But it was like, now I know, like don't pick up your drones.
Like that's what makes it so fun. Literally, like everything is so dangerous in that game.
Yep.
And there's the game's pretty like, I mean, it's pretty tame, I feel like, in its like representation of it, but it is like a pretty gory game, you know. Like if a grenade goes off at your feet, like your guy explodes into like a million pieces, right? And that's the thing too. The camera will follow like one jib,
Yeah.
as it's like flying across the map, dude. It's like
the critical jib.
Yeah, that was the one that like the whole character was like locked into, you know. But yeah, it's just such a funny game, dude. Like everything is so dangerous. Like, dude, like I picked up like like an explosive barrel. There's like explosive barrels that like every once in a while you'll find like in little outposts. And I picked it up and I was like, man, this is weird. And like one of you two shot it while I was holding it. I think it was you. Yeah, our producer shot it while I was holding it, and like my guy like got like thrown back into the wall, but then like he died, and he was like, "Wait, why did I die?" But now we know, we're like, okay, these like things like explode pretty big. Okay, like we like have an idea. Dude, the amount of times since then that I'll be like in a firefight in like one of these outposts, and I'm like running away from like whatever the hell it is that I'm running away from, and I dodge behind like a building or whatever, and I just see like that little barrel, and oh no, I start freaking out. I'm like, okay, get away. Because like, dude, like the automatons in particular, they'll shoot those if you're near them. And it's just like, there's just so many little things like that. It's just like, it's a really, really enjoyable experience.
Like, don't throw the grenade at the wrong thing because it'll like bounce back at you.
Yeah.
I've had that happen.
I've thrown it into like the terminids, like they have like little nests, and you like throw a grenade in and it explodes.
It hits like the top.
It hits the little top rail and it just boop and bounces right back at you. It's a great time, honestly. Yeah. It is definitely, because I was, during the server problems, I went in by myself once because I was kind of checking the servers and I was like testing a couple of things. I was just curious how it worked. And the game, I'm not the only person, everyone's been saying this, the game is 100% like supposed to be played with co-op. You can go by yourself. It's not enjoyable, like really at all.
No.
It's enjoyable.
It's more fun the more people you have.
It's enjoyable. Well, I don't want to say it's not enjoyable at all because it is enjoyable, but it's like the purpose of the game is all of these mechanics working in tandem with like other players making their own decisions and stuff like that, because it just leads to certain situations that are just like they're little stories you like carry with these with yourself, and you start like telling other people and stuff. But it's great.
They're war stories.
Yes,
there are stories. The stories of our Helldivers that have come before us. So yeah, download it. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. Highly recommend. I think that's if any one thing of this sounded remotely interesting to you, download it. You're gonna have a blast. Plus, it's $40. So, well, this has been Two Souls on the Games. We had a great time talking about Helldivers.
Yes.
Probably play some more of that later. And we hope you have a great day. We'll see you next week.